Hey, folks, it's a Jeff Thitoff show. I'm Tito, Jeff Thitoff. Thanks so much for tuning in today. I really appreciate that. Go to fanstreetsports.com. Check out our new website. Updated all kinds of great new shows, new content being added all the time throughout the day. Go check it out. Follow me on Twitter @FitHappens. I'll have Bill Bennett from Sporting News joining me here shortly. Talk more big picture college football and what went on this weekend and what's going on for the rest of the season, actually. Tuesday is when the new rankings will come out as far as the CFP goes. We'll talk about that as well. Let's start off talking about some NFL, though, from the weekend. And Browns lose to the Jets. And the only way the Browns can lose, they give up a kick return for a touchdown. They give up a punt return for a touchdown, all these things. And Dillon Gabriel looked extremely ineffective. The Browns are at a point right now where, look, put Shedeur out there. Maybe he's not ready. If Shedeur is not ready and looks really bad, then you know Shedeur is not the answer. Right now, Browns fans have no idea if Shedeur is the answer or not. He might be. I don't think he is. You know what, though? Let's put him out there. What are you playing for? If you play well and Shedeur plays well, Browns look smart. Browns will have to draft a quarterback maybe next year. If he looks bad and the Browns lose, guess what? You know about Shedeur, and you lose games, which isn't the worst thing in the world for this Browns franchise. So I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why they haven't played him yet, but they should. But because the Browns should, doesn't mean they will. Dillon Gabriel, again, looked very mortal. I'm not sure, look, this Browns franchise, I don't expect anything. Look, if they would have drafted smart and drafted Mahomes or Josh Allen or Julio Jones when they had chances to take those guys, or if they would have held on to Mayfield, might not have mattered. Because I don't believe in this franchise in developing people, developing players to make them better. Think about this. Baker Mayfield was on this team. Baker Mayfield in the running for MVP this year. Going to lead the Buccaneers to the playoffs. Browns said, no, thank you. Got rid of him. Browns went out and got Deshaun Watson. Way overpaid for him. Deshaun, remember, didn't want to be in Cleveland until the money was better than anywhere else. Then all of a sudden he wanted to be in Cleveland. Myles Garrett didn't want to stay in Cleveland until the money was so great, Myles Garrett decided he wants to be in Cleveland. That's not a good recipe for this team, for any team. If the main reason people are staying is because of money, look at the franchises that are great. The Kansas City Chiefs, they signed Mahomes to a big deal. Yes. Mahomes could get more money if he wanted to right now. Yes. But Kansas City is good because of the culture there. Same thing in Philly. New England starting to get that way with Vrabel, I think. San Francisco, if you're a quarterback, you want to play for Kyle Shanahan. Look what he does. It's better long term. The only reason to ever go to the Browns as a free agent or stay with the Browns or to be traded, say, I want to be with the Browns, the only reason is money. There is no other reason for anybody to want to be on the Cleveland Browns. No reason whatsoever. Browns lose the Jets. Bengals were off. Steelers lost bad on Sunday Night Football against the Chargers, 25-10. Steelers looked awful. Ravens won against the Vikings on the road. Even though the Ravens are one game behind the Steelers, I'm telling you right now, the Ravens will win the AFC North, not the Steelers. The Ravens won the division yesterday. Their win on the road against Minnesota, their game back of Pittsburgh, all the injuries they've had, Pittsburgh healthy, yes, it's the Ravens division now. They are the betting favorite. I think they're tied actually with Pittsburgh. And I think they're ahead now. Betting favorite to win the AFC North, and they should be. This Steelers team, they rarely have everything clicking. There's been a couple games on defense. I look at the Patriots game. I look at the game against the Colts. They produce a lot of turnovers and get wins when the defense is right. Last night, the defense wasn't great against the Chargers, and the offense wasn't good enough to overcome that. This offense is so up and down, and so is the defense. There's so much inconsistency there. When it's all said and done, I think the Steelers end up with a 9-8 record and probably make the playoffs. They've got 5 wins right now. They've got 4 games they could win. They got the Bengals. They've got the Bears. The Dolphins maybe, and then they've got another game at Cleveland, I think, and there's the other one, where they could win, go 9-8, make the playoffs. I don't think they're going to end up hosting a playoff game. I think the Ravens will win the AFC North. Let's move over now to a tough situation for the New York Giants. Jackson Dart, a fantastic rookie for the Giants. I don't know if he's going to play again next week or play in the next few weeks. He's in the concussion protocol, and it seems like he's been concussed at various times. They had the situation in the medical tent where the Giants got fined because Brian Daboll was like, hey, is he really concussed? Let's get him out. Like Brian Daboll intervened with the concussion protocol, intervened in the blue medical tent. But Jackson Dart did leave the game with concussion. Russell Wilson came in. Russell Wilson looked absolutely lost in that game, and the Giants lost. If I'm the Giants, I am going to sit Jackson Dart probably for the rest of the season. He's got a concussion. He may have had concussions before. We're not sure 100%. But this season's lost. You lost him. You lost Scadaboo. Malik Neighbors gone for the season already. It's a lost season for the Giants. Reconvene for next year. Sit Dart. Take your time. No need to rush him back. You're not going anywhere. And if you're not going to be a playoff contender, honestly, the best thing you can do is lose every game. Move up in the draft order. So there's no tanking. I get that. I'm not saying they have to tank necessarily, but I would not risk Jackson Dart's future for winning a game in December this year when the season really is the Giants. They're not going to make the playoffs. The worst thing you can do as a franchise in the NFL, NBA, NHL, MLB is different, is be mediocre. You want to be great, where you're competing for a championship and a playoff spot every year, or you want to be terrible, where you get a high draft pick in each round. Don't be in between. And that's what the Giants, if they play Jackson Dart, that's what they could be, is in between. We've got a big Monday night game tonight, Green Bay against Philadelphia. And as you look at it in the NFC specifically, I don't know who the best team is. There have been teams that each week look like the best team. Detroit looked like the best team. So is Philly. The Rams. Those teams have all looked like the best teams. The Seahawks, certainly. The 49ers, yep, sometimes as well. But it's hard to, the 49ers just fell to the Rams. 49ers can't stay healthy. Seahawks demolished the Cardinals. They were up, 35-0 at one point in that game. Seahawks looked really good as well. I don't know who the best team is in the NFC. I don't know who the best team is in the AFC. Now, Philly is at Green Bay. Green Bay getting a win would be huge for them. Philly getting a win would be, dare I say, huger for them if they get a win in Lambeau tonight. Over in the AFC, let's look at this, though, too, by the way. Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold, I think their teams are combined 15-4 this year. And the Vikings said no on both of them. I don't know if they said no on Jones. I think they could have had either Jones or Darnold back for the season. And they said, no, we're good with J.J. McCarthy. Hasn't worked out great for them. J.J. McCarthy, I know he's only got a few games, 4 games he's played so far in the NFL. But it's too early to pull the plug on it. I get that. But I thought the Vikings drafted they spent too much draft capital on J.J. McCarthy. And I think they should have kept either Darnold or Daniel Jones around if they could have for this season. But I don't know the best team in the NFC. Like I said, at different times, same thing in the AFC too, like in both conferences. You can make a case any time for any of these teams. at the top. You could sell me on Kansas City, who is far behind Denver in the AFC West race, but Kansas City might be the best team in the AFC. New England might be. Buffalo might be. Baltimore could be when it's all said and done. Denver's had some luck, but hey, look, Denver's Denver. So I don't know who the best two teams are right now, which is the beauty of the NFL. Do you enjoy that as a fan? Do you like the parity that goes on in the NFL? Or do you want dynasties? Do you long for the days when the Cowboys with Aikman and Emmett and Irvin and Jimmy and then Barry, who won with Jimmy's guys? Or, like the 49ers teams, the Chiefs teams now. Do you like having that comfortable dynasty team? Or do you like the chaos? Do you like the chaos of not knowing who the best team is in the NFC or the AFC? AFC, it feels like to me when it comes down to it, if you're going to go to the Super Bowl, at some point you're going to have to be the Kansas City or Buffalo. One of the two. You'll have to be one of the two teams, either Kansas City or Buffalo, in the AFC if you want to go to the Super Bowl. In the NFC, I don't know who it is. I really don't. I would like to think Detroit, I say with a question mark. So I'm telling you right now, let's see. If you want to go to the Super Bowl in the AFC, you have to beat either Kansas City or Buffalo. One of those two teams you're going to have to beat in the playoffs to get to the Super Bowl. That's AFC. In the NFC, I'd like to think you've got to either beat Philadelphia or Detroit to get to the Super Bowl. One or the other. You will have to beat one of those teams to get there. I always like playing the game, too, when you look at it with is there a Super Bowl matchup you want? Is there a matchup in the Super Bowl you're like, you know what? If I could right now wave a magic wand and say, I want this Super Bowl matchup this season, who would it be? Buffalo, Detroit? That way one of the teams will be a first-time Super Bowl winner. How much fun would that be? A couple of teams like that, Midwest teams that are going for their first Super Bowls. Buffalo famously 0-4 in the Super Bowls. Detroit's never been to a Super Bowl. Or would it be Green Bay, Kansas City? Philly, Kansas City? Do you want something else like that? I don't know what the answer is, but I feel like in the NFL, more so than in any other sport, and I'm talking NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL, college football, college basketball. In the NFL, I think that fans readily accept the balance that is in that league. I think other leagues, they like dynasties. I think people love having the Golden State Warriors every year doing what they're doing. The Lakers with LeBron and that kind of thing. When the Heat had the big three, when the Bulls had their big three, the Celtics had their big three, the Lakers had their runs. I think in those leagues, those situations, I think people probably like having the dynasty teams. I'm not sure in the NFL if that's the same thing or not. Oh, by the way, a couple notes before we get to Bill Bender here shortly. Ohio State women, they get a win yesterday, 88-59 over Coppin State. You had Jelani Cambridge had a big game again, 23 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. You had Chance Gray with 17 points. Kennedy Cambridge, by the way, 11 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and 7 steals. This Ohio State women's team is going to be fun to watch, as they are every year. Will they make a run? I feel like most years, the Ohio State women's team, they should be in the Sweet 16 every year, and I think they will be again this year. It's what happens after that when you look at this. This team has got more length than they've had in a long time, and they've also got the depth they need to have. There is not, look, I know that Cody McMahon off to Mississippi State, that's a big loss for them, or Ole Miss, one of the two. Mississippi State, I think it is. Anyway, that's a big loss for them on their offense, and she was such a big part of their identity. They're going to miss her, but this team has more depth than it had, I think, last year. If you have a chance to go watch Ohio State women's basketball team play in person, do it. And I've had Kevin McGuff on my show before. I've talked to Kevin McGuff numerous times. I've covered this team for a lot in the last few years. The Ohio State women's basketball team looks a lot like Nolan Richardson's Arkansas teams. I'm dating myself, back from the mid-90s when they had like Todd Day on those teams. It's 40 minutes of hell. Ohio State will press you and press you and press you. And by the way, press you. They had 23, I think they forced 23 turnovers for Coppin State in this game. Ohio State had 13 steals. I talked about the 7 from Cambridge. And they also had 6 other people record steals for the Ohio State women's team. So Ohio State beats Coppin State 88-59. This team is a lot of fun to watch. Don't forget, folks, they've got some games going, but UConn on November 16th on the road. That'll be a big game on Peacock. The Big Ten this year is stacked. I mean, when you've got look at the rankings in women's basketball, and you will see just exactly how stacked the Big Ten is. In the preseason rankings, UCLA is 3rd. I'm looking at all these right now. USC was 3rd, Maryland 10th. You've got Michigan 13th. You've got USC 18th. They just had a big win, by the way, in the top 10 over number 9 NC State. Even though USC has no Juju Watkins, they're still damn good. Iowa 21, Michigan State 23, Washington 26, Ohio State 27. Minnesota's in there still getting votes. Illinois gets votes. Nebraska gets votes. This Big Ten conference is stacked. Go watch Kevin McGuff and this team play this season. You will be entertained, I promise you. Ohio State men got a win over Fort Wayne on Friday. Purdue Fort Wayne. I'm sorry, not the original Fort Wayne. Purdue Fort Wayne. Do you know their nickname? Bonus points if you do. The Mastodons. Ohio State won that one 94-68. Ohio State still is having a hard time with defense, but they're going to be fun to watch as well, the men's team. You got 38 points, career high to Bruce Thornton. He was 14 out of 17 from the field. There's only 3 shots he missed, 3-pointers. He was 14 for 4. I'm sorry, he was 11 for 11. Is that right? 11? Am I getting that right? He was 9 for 9. 9 for 9 on 2-point shots, 5 for 8 on 3-point shots, 38 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists in that game. Led the team in assists. Mobley had 19 points. Christoph Tilley had 15 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. The team, they emptied the bench. Everyone played. So this Ohio State team is going to be fun to watch as well. I believe that they will be, if they're not already, when the rankings come out, they should be in the top 25 when it comes out the next one for the men's side. 2-0. They won both games at home. They play on Tuesday night against Appalachian State over there at Value City Arena. Shot scenes in there at Value City Arena. So they are fun to watch as well. And it's going to be an offensive. Their defense, non-existent. They're not good at defending. That's the way it's going to be all year. They're going to score a lot of points. They will give up a lot of points as well, but we will keep an eye on that with Ohio State men. Again, 2-0, should be ranked. The women could be ranked when it's all said and done, and I do expect the women's basketball team for Ohio State to creep back into the top 25. This is one of the rare years where they're not in the top 25. Jackets, by the way, on Monday night, play at Edmonton, and we will be following that game as well. They play at 8:30 tonight. I believe it's Edmonton before they head back home for this trip. And now we are joined by Bill Bender of the Sporting News. Bill, good to see you, my friend. And we were talking about the college football season so far. And Fernando Mendoza for Indiana had his Heisman moment. Do you think Mendoza is the Heisman favorite at this point in the season?
No, I still think it's Julian Sayin because you can't ignore the stats. The ridiculous completion percentage and passer rating and for like you can't do that, Tito. You can't do that on video games sometimes. Like if I was like playing on the easy level of college football, and it would be hard to go 17-22 in some instances, especially when you throw the ball down the field as much as they do. So that said, Mendoza did have the moment, right? That's one that's fresh in mind. I mean, more so, Omar Cooper had the moment. Man, what a unbelievable body control to put his feet down on that play. But those are the two right now. And I still think Jeremiah Smith deserves to be in the conversation. I don't know if he'll have the gaudy statistics enough to do it. And then keeping an eye on Ty Simpson at Alabama. He, again, kind of under the radar, but leading an SEC championship team perhaps.
Would have been a good show prep thing for me to know this ahead of time, but I'm going to ask you live on the air here. Did you have a Heisman vote?
I do.
Okay.
And I always tell the story that the first year I did it, I voted for Tua over Kyler. And, I have close friends and all that. And I shared that with them after they were like, because you're not allowed to tell people. So afterward, they're like, who did you vote for?
Right.
And I told them, I said, Tua. And they were like, wrong. And I'm like, I didn't get it wrong. It's still it's not like that. It's still my vote, right?
Yeah, it's still your vote. So, yeah, it's not a wrong answer. But it always cracks me up how people sometimes say that, like, they can't believe somebody got other votes. Somebody else got votes, because if it was unanimous every year, there'd be it can't be that way. You know what I mean? Like, you've got to have differing opinions. And I talked to Bobby about this today on our show on The Fan. But is it like, when you're looking at your Heisman vote, are you voting best player, most outstanding player, best player on best team? Because for me, I still think Jeremiah Smith is the best player in college football, and I think you can make an argument Caleb Downs might be second, and neither one will win the Heisman. So, like, when you're voting, what do you look at?
That's certainly a factor. Sometimes it's open and shut. It has been a quarterback award in the past, but last year, I'll give you a great example. I was really conflicted about Hunter and Ashton Genty, because Ashton Genty's had such a great, career at Boise State, had a great season, literally carried them to the playoff. But Travis Hunter was doing some things that we hadn't seen. And he had that knack you were talking about, or I was talking about it earlier today, I guess, the making the play at the right time. Travis Hunter did a lot of that last year, and he was doing it by playing every snap. So it was hard to ignore. But I'm a guy that best player, best team, but there is an MVP component to me for it. And I think if that's the case, you got to look at guys like Diego Pavia and Haynes King. They mean so much to their team, especially if Diego carries Vanderbilt to the college football playoff.
Right. Yeah, if they get there, I mean, you got to look at it and say, okay, this guy's doing something that no one could envision possible. Same thing Mendoza, though, too. Like, I know Indiana went there last year, but still, the fact he can do that, he can will them to the playoffs, also stands for something. But I don't think anymore, just because, like I said, I think that Jeremiah Smith is the best player in college football. There's no way he wins a Heisman this year.
I agree. And so let's unpack that a little bit, right? Yeah. Like, there are things that defenses have to do to account for him that are abnormal, right? Mm-hmm. Like, because otherwise he can just beat single coverage and score a touchdown. They were playing pitch and catch the last 2 weeks. At Purdue, I think Stephen Means had a tweet that it was like 6 of 6 when targeting Jeremiah Smith for 100 yards in the first half. He is the most impactful player. He's the best player. He's probably tracking toward maybe number 1 pick. And that never happens for a receiver. Hasn't happened since Keyshawn Johnson, right? Keyshawn's the last one.
Well, and Keyshawn was, yeah.
And yeah, so he is the most valuable player. And then when you said Caleb Downs, I was thinking you were going to say Arvell Reese is the other most valuable player. What are we even doing? Like, that's how much talent is on this team.
And when you look at this team then, too, now, I know for the voting, sometimes they release all the region votes, like guys in the Midwest who vote where they voted, guys in the West where they voted. And is it possible that because Jeremiah Smith is on Ohio State, Julian Sayin's on Ohio State, I mentioned Caleb Downs, he'll get votes, but he won't be in there, he won't be at New York. But does it hurt them that they are on the same team?
A little bit. And we discussed that a little bit last week, I think. So with Ohio State, the last time that happened, it was Justin Fields and Chase Young. And it's hard to run 2 separate Heisman campaigns at the same school. I mean, I got the emails from Jerry, and I do love how Ohio State markets their Heisman guys. You know, they did it a couple years ago with Marv, and it was Here Comes the Sun, and it was spelled S-O-N. And I was like, that's pretty good. And we're just saying, and Jeremiah, but it is hard to market too. I mean, USC, they had the point, though, when it was Leinart and Bush, one guy won it one year, one guy won it the next year. There's no opportunity for that. I guess there is, but it's really hard because they'll cut into each other's votes, because you and I are having this very conversation where we're like, well, isn't Jeremiah the better player? What about Julian Sayin's stats? Why can't we vote for Arvell Reese? I mean, that is a blessing and a curse, because for the team, it's great. For the Heisman, which is such an individual award and a statistical based award, it's a little bit tougher.
And I wondered about that too. I talked about this on the air today earlier, but so we know Mendoza through the pass. I love the fact you mentioned the receiver's name earlier. I don't think most people will say, did you see the catch by that guy? It's, did you see the pass by Mendoza? And with Ohio State, I feel like a lot of the time, just like not the pass by Sayin, it's the catch by Jeremiah. It's the catch by Tate. Like Tate's catch he had was against Wisconsin, right?
Yes,
the double team.
yes.
Okay. So Tate's catch, I'm sorry, the pass by Sayin, it was a fantastic pass that should be lauded for how great of a pass that was. But most people talk about the catch by Tate in double coverage. His helmet comes off. And so I think that there in some ways, Sayin might get hurt by having great receivers associated with him, because I can't name a single damn receiver for Indiana.
Right. Well, other than Omar Cooper over the weekend.
Omar Cooper,
right?
you mentioned, I wouldn't know his name off the top of my head.
Yeah, and they were missing their other one, Sarad, who's pretty good. They've got a good receiving tandem, but it's like, to your point, it's nowhere near. There are times when Carnell Tate makes a leaping catch that if you're kind of have your head down and typing, you look up, oh, wait, that's Jeremiah. No, wait, that's Carnell. Right. And he makes some of those incredible catches that they do. And that's well said. And they have tight end.
So, that's clear. Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, I do think Julian Sayin gets penalized a little bit for that. But again, the completion percentage every week, and we spotted this a couple weeks ago, that's like a number for that's only going to go down. Yeah. And it's not really going down. That's the crazy part to me. Like, he hasn't had Ty Simpson, I think over the weekend was somewhere around 50%, right? 60%. He hasn't had a game like that. That's the wild part to me.
If he has a 21 for 30 game, his completion percentage goes down. And 21 for 30 is a damn good game.
Right. That's like 70. That's 70% right there. Right. So, and you'd be like, what's wrong with, and we'd probably have some hot take artists out there saying, what's wrong with Julian Sayin? Because he had 4 incompletions and a half against UCLA this weekend. But that could happen. So,
and 2 of them might be throwaways, by the way. They might be ones where he threw away because he was going to get sacked. And when you mentioned the video game thing earlier, I thought to myself, you know what? If I played the college football game with Sayin, I don't think I would have 80% completion percentage.
Not through this many games.
No,
because you'll do things that you do in a video game, like take shots deep that aren't there or throw into coverage. And he's been able to do that. And his command of this offense is really incredible. And on top of that, the running game too. So it will become very interesting with the Heisman over the next week, because the easier build-up, instead of throwing Jeremiah Smith into it, is Indiana 12-0. Ohio State 12-0, Mendoza and Sayin for the Heisman, and they can build that. And certainly, another thing with Heisman voters, I never do it until I don't understand, Tito, how they vote for the Heisman before the conference championship games.
They should, right? It's always after this week, right? Isn't
right.
It after it's when they're due after.
Right. And I always
some people do it before, yeah.
I do it the Monday morning they're due.
Yes.
The day they're due, because I want to sleep on it Sunday and just make sure you're doing it right. And then I want to make sure I type all the names in correctly. And it is a very it's a serious thing to me. You want to get it right. You want to have fun with it, obviously, but that's when I'll do it. And I think, once the emotion wears off, especially if it's Indiana, Ohio State, where the emotions of that game are going to carry toward the college football playoff and beyond.
I'm going to ask you a question, and you can say, I choose not to answer, and I won't vote against you, okay? Do you do more research on your Heisman vote or your political vote?
Probably Heisman, honestly.
I think so.
I mean, I do. I mean, I'll be honest. Politics are, especially, like election seasons during college football season. And I remember there was, not to get into, so one of the elections, I think it was maybe 16. I remember not tuning into any election stuff till it was a late night. We were doing a lot of work. And then I was like, oh yeah, that was tonight. And I did vote today, but that was like 12 hours ago. So yeah, this time of year, especially, it's very busy, but probably more, I don't know if that's is going to have a negative or positive effect on you with me, but probably definitely the Heisman.
It's a positive effect. The list of I think that part of that though is because it's much more clear on wins and losses and percentages. There's a lot more stats you can put out there, I think, in the Heisman than you can politically. It's hard to find wins and losses in politics.
Yeah, it's like if they had like Bills, I
right.
took the dub on this one. I was right about this
lost
one.
This one, right.
You know, people have opinions on all that. I watched the clip of President Trump at the Commanders game, and like I'm not going to draw too much out of that because it's just we know what it is. It's for publicity, and you know it is what it is. Like I don't take it too much farther than that.
So if they voted last year after the playoff for the Heisman, would the winner have been a different name?
Probably. It might have been. I mean, Jeremiah Smith had a really good playoff.
He did,
right? Like, and he would have been the one that always stuck out to me, though, and the case for doing that would have been the year Ezekiel Elliott had the two big games, you know, and had the game against Alabama, because we were already on the cusp of saying, you know what, like he should win the Heisman, and he didn't that year, but Mariota did, and then they played in the championship game, and you would have recast your vote at that point. I think that would have been one that made the case for that. I'm still a guy that kind of likes it where it is, because it is, to me, more of a regular season award, and then you attach the bowl game to it, you know, and you and it's fun to like, hey, the Heisman winner's in this game. I remember one year we had Adrian Peterson didn't win the Heisman, but he was in that game where you played USC, and you had like 3 or 4 guys that were in the Heisman Trophy room, and then none more than, and then another one we could revisit was Vince Young, of course.
The Vince Young one, that's the other one too.
That was open and shut after that game.
Right, and I wonder, like, also, it shouldn't, I have to believe going forward, be it a 12 or 16 team playoff, usually the Heisman winner is playing on one of those playoff teams. But I wonder if you ever get a situation where a player, like last year, Colorado was not one of those.
Right.
And I wonder if you get a situation where, like, it would, if you moved it to the end of bowl season, after everything's done, if it impacts players that play in postseason games, not saying the playoff games, but just like if you have a guy who might win the Heisman, but his team is playing in the not the Cotton Bowl's a bad example, the Citrus Bowl, whatever. And would he sit out if he already won the Heisman, or would he play if he had a chance for the Heisman? I wonder if that would impact any of the decisions to play or not play in postseason games.
So like Cam Ward last year.
Sure,
like,
there's a good example,
Say if Cam Ward had a chance at it, would he have come out in the second half of I think that was the Cheez-It Bowl against
I think you're right about that,
Iowa State. And we've had a couple guys the last couple of years that didn't make the playoff that have played, or didn't make the playoff, won the Heisman. Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels. I'm trying to think of Jaden Daniels. I don't think he played in the bowl game.
I don't think he did either. I think you're right about that. I think he sat the bowl game out.
So he would be one that maybe sat. And then, so would that impact that decision? I don't know. I'm one that maintains, like, some people will say that the Heisman is overrated and all that. I still think it's the coolest individual trophy in all of sports. It has, if it wasn't, like, nobody does a pose for the NFL MVP award.
True.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you're going to see a couple Heisman poses out there in the next month. Nobody does. They do the ceremony, and I always like watching it to see all of the other former Heisman winners. Everybody knows that Archie Griffin is the only 2-time winner in the NFL. I couldn't tell. I'm pretty sure Peyton Manning has the most NFL MVP awards, but I'd have to go Google it after we get off here.
Great question. You're right. I don't know about that either. And it's funny you mentioned that about the Archie Griffin thing. And I contend, Bill, and there is absolutely nothing to back up this contention I'm making, which is the best kind of contention to have, that Heisman Trophy voters don't want another 2-time Heisman Trophy winner, because there's been nobody who's represented the Heisman Trophy better ever than Archie Griffin, as far as like, a tremendous citizen, nothing negative. You cannot say anything about Archie Griffin. If Manziel had won twice, that'd be a big deal, because now you can say Manziel. Tebow could have done it, I guess, but by and large, though, if you're going to be a 2-time Heisman Trophy winner, you need to have a halo already over you, because no one's going to top Archie. And so, like, I wonder, with this Ohio State thing, could it be a Sayin this year, Jeremiah next year, or vice versa, or something like that? Because I really don't think anybody wants another 2-time Heisman Trophy winner.
And Archie's such a good ambassador for not only the award. Like, have you ever heard anybody have something bad to say about Archie Griffin? It's unbelievable how he represents that award, or represents this area in Central Ohio. I've had a chance to be around him and talk to him a few times, and just class all the way around. And to your point, it's not that first award. We haven't seen it as many times. Like Tebow would have been another one that he did get close. Sure. Baker Mayfield was around it a couple times. Lamar.
Manziel could have, right?
Yeah, Lamar was in the mix for it twice. And those type guys, you always see that second year. It's just so hard to do because you have to be transcendent 2 years in a row. Lamar Jackson's first year, it was unreal. And it's not like he was bad the second year. It's just that to play at that level. And I don't know that we'll ever see a two-time winner because, like I said, if Jeremiah Smith were to win it this year, you could theoretically do it again. But how much coverage do you think he's going to have on him next year? They may put 3 guys on him at a time. Who knows? But I just think it's really hard. And I do like that little wrinkle that, it's been 50 years this year, right? 75 was the second Heisman.
Yep.
That we haven't had a guy do it twice.
And then, I told this, I love telling the story, by the way, Bull, so I'm glad we're doing this. But when I worked for Damon's, I worked for a franchisee. John Self owned the Damon's at Park Hotel there on Old Change River Road, which I'm sure you spent time at. Oh, yeah. And owned a couple in Pittsburgh, one in State College and whatnot. But he had a golf outing for Big Brothers Big Sisters one year. And I was working for him, and the theme of it was around, at the time, there were 4 Heisman Trophy winners for Ohio State. It was Les Horvath, it was Hop Cassidy, it was Janowitz, and Archie Griffin. And so what he did for that day at the golf course they played this outing at was he had a Heisman winner on each one of the 4 par 3s. And when you came through with your group, you could play with the Heisman winner. He would hit a tee shot like your guys and go up there and put out the hole and finish out with you. And if he did great and you use a shot, fantastic. My job that day, and I think at the time I was probably 23 or 24 years old. My job that day, I was in a golf cart with Archie Griffin all day. And all I did was ride back and forth with them on the par 3s and wave groups come through. And it was and no offense to the many kids I've fathered, no offense to the wedding days, no offense to anything else in my life, it might have been the greatest day of my life.
It would have been fun.
I just hung out with Archie Griffin. We talked football. He was one of the nicest people I've ever met. And it was fantastic the whole day. That's Archie Griffin, right?
Right. Oh, for sure. I think I can tell this story safely. So Jay Hansen works for Ohio State alumni. He worked for, Jay, right? Yeah. Works for Ohio State Communications and went to his wedding, and he was working under Archie at the time. And when Archie came to the wedding, I was at the wedding, like you could see grown men like, oh my gosh, it's Archie Griffin. Like the celebrity status.
Damn, you tear up, right?
Right. Like I'm like, yeah. And obviously he had fun at the wedding and took pictures with a bunch of guys, and Jay was a good sport about it because Jay's a good sport about everything. And it was a lot of fun seeing Archie and Jay, like me, like he has nothing but good stories about his time working with Archie. And I think that's why, not that we got off track here, because it's always easy to talk about him. Yeah. And even at the high school level, which we're in the thick of the high school football playoffs here in Ohio, and you still hear stories about Archie in high school, which I think is amazing because he's from this area as well.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Eastmore, he went to, well, it's not Eastmore Academy. It was Eastmore Academy. Eastmore before there. Yes, he was. And how many, I lost track of how many brothers of his played. I know it was Ray. There was Duncan. There may have been somebody else who slipped in there. I'm not sure, but there were a lot of brothers in there. But I still, I hope when I die, it could be today, it could be 20 years from now. We have no idea, Bill, on this one. But whenever I die, I hope that Archie is still the only 2-time Heisman Trophy winner.
Good chance.
Can I die today?
No, not that. You're not.
Okay.
There's a good chance you and I do another segment next week. But no. So there's a good chance that when you die, that Archie will still be the 2-time. Because I just don't see it happen. And I think that award lends itself to that. I think the other thing with that award too is it just back then guys stayed in school. I'm trying to come up with this, and I'm going to have to look at it. I'm pretty sure Billy Sims is the only guy who won it, since Archie,
right?
Or right around that era, won it, came back, finished second.
Right, to Charles White, right?
Finished second to Charles White, who had, in that age of running backs, and in the age of where the quarterback wins the award every year, I think it's even more difficult because you have to have a running back, the stats are pretty straightforward. You run
Sure.
for a bunch of yards, you have a bunch of touchdowns. You still probably won't win it because Ashley
Right.
Genty and Melvin Gordon didn't. Quarterbacks have to have a fantastic years 2 in a row. So Julian Sayin, his next season, right?
Oh my gosh, right.
Why doesn't he have an 80% completion percentage? Can you imagine? I mean, again,
it's a
that's
down year. He
that's,
completes 78%. It's a down year.
You're still in the hunt to be the number 1 pick in the draft as a quarterback, but you're throwing 72%. What's wrong with you?
I know. And by the way, next year I do lose Carell Tate. Carell Tate's gone. That's fine. Chris Henry Jr. comes in, by the way. He's also like 6'6". He's a freak as well. Try to guard Ohio State receivers next year. If I'm Julian Sayin, if I'm Brian Hartline, it's like a perfect, like I want to be the, I think if I was the OC of that team with my video game mentality, I still think Ohio State would be undefeated next year also with great numbers.
Chris Henry, I've had a chance to watch some of his high school game, like not like in depth, but oh my Lord, there's another one that's going to be able to get down the field too.
It's going to be fun next year. Bill, where can people find you on social media?
Bill Bender 92, and always enjoy coming on Fan Stream with you. We'll have to do it again here soon. I know we're going to be spending a lot of time this week looking at tiebreakers in the particularly in the ACC and the Big 12, because I think the Big 10 is pretty straightforward from here on out. The SEC still has a lot of contenders, and we'll probably overreact to another set of playoff rankings tomorrow.
We will do that. Bill, thanks for time, buddy. I appreciate it.
Hey, thank you. Take care.
All right, we'll talk again. That was Bill Bender there for the Sporting News joining us. Appreciate that as always. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in this week. This has been the Jeff Thitoff Show. I'm Tito at That Happens. You can find me on Twitter. Go to fantasysports.com. Check out all of our great content. It's out there all the time. New stuff all the time being added. And we will talk to you again soon. Have a great day.